Outburst, a Todd Mills mystery, Book 4. Author, R.D. Zimmerman. Publisher, Scribble Pub, Minneapolis, Minnesota, 1998. Narrator, Eric Ost. Chapter 16. Opening the refrigerator, Todd pulled out an old, half-drunk bottle of white wine and poured himself a glass. "Oh, brother," he thought, taking a sip. His mind was still racing. He'd been on the air barely an hour ago, and at this point, he felt as if he was going to be up half the night. Leaving the sleek, all-white kitchen, he moved into the hallway and called, "Girlfriend! Girlfriend! Where are you?" When the black cat, which defined the word fickle, failed to appear, Todd took his wine into the living room, grabbed a legal pad and pen, then slid open the balcony door. Stepping outside, he stared at Lake Calhoun, the oval body of water just across the street, transfixed by the moon and its light shimmering on the still waters. He took several sips of wine and sat down on one of two metal chairs. So how was he going to do this, and what exactly was he going to pursue tomorrow? Though Todd would have been surprised if Forrest had been anything but queer, it was now confirmed their eyes had caught in that way, hitting and holding a mere fraction of a second too long. Each of them thinking, "I'm one. Are you one too?" And Todd was sure of it, certain that someone like Mark Forrest, young, handsome, and out, had a Mr. Wonderful, someone who wasn't going to let him go. But if so, who was he? Where was he, and why hadn't he come forward? Either reporting Forrest as missing, or now wanting to identify the body, or some such. Or was Todd all wrong? Was Forrest in the middle of his fuckathon days, going through guys on a daily or weekly basis? Perhaps. In the glow of the light from the living room, Todd started jotting it all down on the yellow pad. He began where it all began, with that phone call, the very first one. Todd had received, the one begging Todd to meet down on the Stone Arch Bridge. He recorded the approximate time, paused, and then added a note. Yes, that caller and the killer were surely one and the same, just as the killer and the man who had called Todd this evening were undoubtedly one and the same. If he would only call again, mused Todd, then he'd be ready. He'd be certain to get a recording of the voice. He kicked himself for not having been so prepared earlier, but who would have thought the killer would call out of the blue? Moving on, Todd went through it all, every event, every time, from the meeting on the bridge to the shooting to finding the body to tonight's phone call. He was going to have to be methodical about this, obsessive too. Over the next few days, he knew he'd write this over and over again, and in a bit more each time, always looking for a connection or a hole or something. Everything had to tie together. There had to be some link. So what was it? Who was it? Exactly. Which led Todd back to his first thoughts. Who was Forrest doing? Fixated on Forrest's sex life, Todd took another sip of wine, then slipped back inside and grabbed his cordless phone from the coffee table. Dropping himself on his leather couch, he thought for a moment, recalled the number, and dialed. On the second ring, a voice said loudly, "Hello? Hello? Jeff? That's moi. It's me, Todd. Hey, you old closet queen, how are you? Long time no gab," he said over the blare of Barbra Streisand. "I take it I didn't wake you up?" "Oh, heavens, no," said the bank teller by day and drag queen by night. "So what are you doing home tonight? I thought I'd get your machine." "I'm taking the night off. You know why? I'm getting sick of the straight people down there," he said, referring to the mega-gay complex, the Gay Times, where he often performed. "I mean, what's going on? Have we, the oppressed, made too much progress, or what? I mean, we're talking about a drag show. We're talking about big old homos in beautiful gowns and tons of makeup. I mean, do you realize that 80% of the audience last night was straight? And Jeff, interrupted Todd, knowing that he'd have to cut in at some point. I need your help. Sure, doll. You told me once that all the bartenders know when Rollins comes into the gay times. Is that right? Of course they do, and it's not because he's dreamy, it's because he's a cop. Trust me, the bartenders always try to know the cops and know when they come in. Okay, then, I have a favor to ask. Will you check on another cop for me, a guy by the name of Mark Forrest? Will you find out if he was in there recently, and with whom? Why? Don't tell me you got trouble in paradise and you're looking for another hunk in blue? I guess you haven't seen the news in the last couple of days. Mark Forrest was a park police officer, and he was murdered. He was also gay, and I'm trying to find out if he was dating anyone. Oh my God, I should start reading the papers again, shouldn't I? Listen, I'll do what I can. I'll get as much 411 as possible. Tomorrow soon enough? Perfect. Todd gave him a few more details and then hung up. Still clutching the phone, he knew what he wanted to do next, whom he wanted to call. Very much so. But should he? Dare he? And then, without another thought, he started dialing, then stopped halfway through. No. He wasn't going to give in. He wasn't going to call and check on Rollins. He couldn't. Nope. He wasn't going to be the first one to break. Averting that number, he dialed another. A groggy voice answered on the fourth ring. Hello? Oh, shit, Janice? Said Todd, for he'd completely forgotten the time. I woke you up? Oh, shit, Todd, you did. I'm sorry. Realizing how self-absorbed he'd been, he quickly added, Listen, it can wait. I'll call you back tomorrow. Forget it, Todd, she said with a yawn. I'm awake. What's up? Nothing. Now it sounded stupid, sophomoric. Oh, brother. Oh, brother, what? At dinner tonight, was I a jerk to Rollins? Why aren't you asking him? Because I can't. We're not supposed to talk in anything but an official setting, remember? Oh, right. Police orders, she said, stifling another yawn. Well, she'd tell him, give it to him straight. At that he was sure, and Todd felt himself flinching, for of all the people in the world, Janice and her opinions mattered the most to him. It wasn't simply that they had dated back in college and that they now had a unique family bond that would forever unite them, and it wasn't simply that she was always honest. No, it was more the way she always delivered the truth, frankly but softly. Or, rather, she was always direct but encouraging. He relied on her for this, relied on her perhaps way too much, but she had a way of helping him through the muckier corners of his life, nurturing the better parts of him in a way no one else could. When he'd been deep in the closet, she'd been one of the few to know that he was gay, and virtually the only queer person not to cast judgment. You know what I hate about gay men? She said, the sound of her sheets crumpling in the background as she rolled over. You think the words gay and sex mean one and the same thing? Oh, we do we? Said Todd with a smile, for this was vintage Janice, wise and irreverent. Yes, you do. I mean, the whole world knows the power of testosterone, and I'm not knocking it. I'm really not. I mean, there'd be a whole lot less lesbian bed death if dykes could get a hit or two of it, but you guys think with your dicks, you know? Yet, what does sex take up on a good day? 15 minutes? On a great day, 30? Something like that. But, she yawned again. But you're still gay the other 23 and a half hours, right? He'd often told her that she should have been a shrink instead of a lawyer, and he now ran his hand through his hair and said, Yeah, of course, but Janice, that's my point. You're not gay simply because you have an orgasm with someone of the same sex. You and I and Rollins and every other queer person are gay because our primary emotional relationships are with someone of the same sex. And let's face it, the best part of being in a relationship isn't just the sex. It's having someone to have breakfast with, go walking with, do the gardening with, and Janice, listen, I'm sorry I woke you up, he interrupted, wondering where this late night conversation was going. Maybe we should talk tomorrow? No. You asked a question and I'm going to tell you. You see, sometimes you just have to stop thinking about yourself. And whether you should have done this or that, whether you look good or stupid, or who was right or wrong, you gotta forget all that crap and just give and give and give. And that's how you keep a relationship alive and healthy and happy. Todd, sometimes you just have to forget all about being the top dog and you gotta bow to your partner and give with every bit of your heart and then still keep giving. Staring out the balcony doors and finally seeing it all, he said, I guess that means I was a jerk? See, you're not so dense. Gay Mysteries audiobooks. I think it is easy to hate a label, but a face humanizes the word. So this effort is twofold. To offer comfort to those like myself that your world didn't end because you don't fit into the view of acceptable society on both sides. And in hopes of helping those with family that are LGBTQ, that it doesn't mean we are aliens from the child they once knew. Reassure them so they can maybe be supportive at the same time, being true to their values.